So that was a little bit of a shuffle improvisation, and I tapped out the lesson, and you can find tablature, the link to the tablature, in the video description below. And we're in standard tuning, and I have a capo on the 2nd fret to make things a little bit easier. And well, that's about it, I guess. And let's start with the lesson. The main focus, of course, is to do a little bit of shuffling, and also to add a little bit of finger work in between. And I'm using only thumb and index finger for this lesson, so it's nothing complicated with the right hand. It's just the timing and the feeling that's important in this kind of material. So let's start with the first verse, and I'm going to start with the introduction, the turnaround. And you notice I'm playing very close to the fretboard around this area, and this gives you a very intimate sound. And it's a mixture of nail and flesh. This is flesh only, and this is the mixture. That's nail only. So my nail is a little bit curved and filed off at the sides to get this sound. And if you listen to, for example, Johnny Shines, he really plays often like this, close to the fretboard. So what I did with the turnaround is a simple D7 shape moved up to the 4th fret, so you get an E. And of course the capo is 0 fret, so this is the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd fret, and so on. So, and I'm raking up in the tablature. You will see an arrow upwards with my index finger. And a trill. The whole thing through, we're going to use that trill on the 1st fret, 3rd string, when we're playing our E chord. And then we're walking into the B7 chord, from upwards and downwards, and that I usually do with my 2 fingers held together. You have a bit more balance than and in my case, they're forming one line like this. I don't have to do anything special. And you have a little bit more power there and control. And I mute immediately to kill the sound. And I'm muting with the picking hand, with the thumb, by resting on the string after I picked it. And all the notes are short except that 2nd fret, 5th string. That's a bit longer, and that's the character of this kind of shuffle. And sometimes I use my hand here to mute a little bit more, to kill the sound a little bit. So the notes don't ring into the next beat. That's the important thing to know. And the temp is keeping contact with the strings, and it's dragging down. So we have the first 4 measures. And then we have a run, which you could say is the E7. Same as, but in the bass ring. So we're sliding up to the 7th fret, 5th string. and then downwards, and then we go to the A, the 4 chord. And here I'm using these 2 fingers, the 3rd and the 2nd finger, to fret the 2nd fret of the 2nd and the 4th string. And the hammer-on is between the 1st and the 2nd fret on the 2nd string. And my index finger is fretting the 1st fret, 2nd string. So... Sorry. And back to our E. And you notice there's you could see this also as a practice for double bassing, because this is 1 beat, 2nd beat, 3rd beat. So there are 2 basses in 1 beat. And the dragging of the strings on the strings, that's what we do in fingerpicking, like blind playing. And so on. So it's a good practice also for that kind of playing. So we were on the 7th bar. Back to the E. And then open 5th string instead of the 6th string to walk into the B7 chord, and we'll do a short sort of arpeggio there, all with the temp. Like that. Hit the chords, and here we have the long A. If that's too difficult, well, you can play like, for example, in the 2nd verse, the 24th bar. That is. And notice the double basses, and notice that I'm using what I call the country blues bass. There are other lessons in which I explain that very thoroughly, but the basics are you play the string open and then you mute it. Like that. And you see in the 13th measure, that E, that should not be there. I don't play it. So, little mistake in a tap. So, and we did, of course, we end the 13th bar with the turnaround, which is the same, the whole song. And there's a little hesitation there, half beat, and then and notice the muting. And then in the 2nd verse, we're breaking up the pattern, and we're adding, we're inserting a measure of and this rings a little bit, and then followed by 2 triplets and a slide down. And try to add a little dynamics here. So we're going to start a bit. And if I'm brushing up, I don't want that 4th string to ring, so my 2nd finger is moving a little bit upwards and muting that. So you don't have to worry that you're going to hit that 4th open string. And the difficult part, of course, is keeping the rhythm. So that internal clock, that internal metronome has to keep on ticking, so to speak. And do the same thing, but then with the A7 chords. And slide down. And if you slide down only with the finger on the 3rd fret, 1st string, that's enough. You don't have to slide the whole chord down, that's a bit awkward. So just the index finger. Also, when playing you can do a little slide down, just a little bit. And so on. So we had that. To the A. B7. And the B7 pinch, and again we're hitting it down and muting it. Notice the bass. I'm hitting more than just one open string. I'm hitting the whole chord almost. And then the 3rd verse, it's about the same as the 1st verse, only we're going to add, well, insert that A chord and a D7, a D chord also. We're going to see it a bit later. Okay, so with the 26th measure. And you notice that the A chord, you can fret it like this with the open E string, or like this, or like this. Doesn't matter really. But and it's also in the tab, of course, there is written play. Well, hit the 4th string, 3rd string, and the 2nd string on the 2nd fret. But if you hit the open E string or the open D A string, that's not a problem, of course. But I keep it short. And maybe by muting with the right hand and also by lifting my left hand a little bit. Because if it rings true, doesn't really sound cool in my ears. There we have a cool variation on our first. And the first two beats are triplets. So we have 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2. So that's a little bit practice, of course, and try to get it in your head. When you got it, when you understand it, then you will be able to play it more easily. And when we go to the A chord after our that's a D chord. It's the same, let's say that it's the same relation as in the E and A, and where we're A and D, it's always the 4 chords above that. So, bar 31. Note is very short, only that half beat. And then we're going back to our A chord to go to the E chord. And then we go to our B7, also a bit of a variation. Second beat is a triplet. Let that ring into the next beat. And then we go to the last verse. Adjust my papers a little bit. And there we're gonna play with bass and trebles at the same time. So we start with a double bass. And sliding on the second string and bending it at the same time. And adding the third finger to the 9th fret in that last beat. And notice I'm using the country blues bass open and muted. And there we go up. Good practice for the tempo also, double basses. And the same thing. And I keep playing close to the fretboard, gives that special sound. It sounds different when you play it here. It's more difficult to play the bass there, especially with a bare temp. Okay, let's start again. And the bending is, I'm gonna bend not every note we're hitting, but keeping it bent anyway. Notice also the muting. See my hand going. And then for the A section, we're going to a D7 position, moved up, and we're playing that. And adding the pinky for the last beat and sliding down. And you know, this figure is, it's like what we used in Blue Monk. So you can borrow from other songs to get something new. Okay. Sorry. Notice a double bass horn. You could also do, instead of the open 5th string, you could play with the open 6th string as a variation. Sorry. And now we go back to our 7th and 8th frets. And then we're going for a B7. Instead of our B7 here, we're going to grab it like an A7 chord moved up 2 frets. And sliding. And my 3rd finger plays that move on the bass to get a little bit of a movement there. have a end tag after our turnaround. And I'll play that with the temp. I think the temp on the treble strings gives you a special kind of fat sound. Let that ring. That's one beat. Alright, that was a little lesson on shuffling the blues. I hope you have fun with it.